Okay, the meeting's being recorded. We're going to get started, and let me share the presentation. So we're going to multitask, and Bob Heron was not able. He was the host who invited us, wasn't able to be here, and so we're kind of improvising. My name's Joe Domaleski. This is my better half, Mary Catherine. We're really excited to be here tonight. We drove quite a ways from Fayette County to be here, and I'm glad we have a few folks in the audience. We love ham radio, and we love talking to people about ham radio. And so tonight is not going to be a technical presentation. You can go watch a bunch of YouTubes. You can read the ARL handbook. Tonight is all about fun and encouraging all of you to have fun with the hobby. Now, how many of you, by show of hands, are involved in ARES or Oxcom or RACES or any type of public service? Now, that's fun to do, isn't it? But if you're not, and I'm involved in all that stuff too, and so is Mary Catherine. We help out at RACES and all kinds of things. But I do think that sometimes as amateur radio operators, if we're not careful, it becomes another job. Coordinating volunteers, getting people to sign up, training, task books, all kinds of things. And so I like to tell people ham radio is a hobby that's fun, but it's also useful. And tonight we're going to focus on the fun part. So bear with the textured screen here. For those of you that are watching the live stream, we're projecting on the gym wall. So the live audience has a nice textured screen. But can you guys all see back there? Now, I have given Bob a copy of tonight's presentation, and he's going to send it out to all of you and those of you on the live stream. In fact, Bob, you can paste it in the chat if you want to. Inside this presentation are some multimedia links, and I'm going to play some of them tonight. So by all means, we're not going to go through all the slides tonight. Go back and listen to some of our QSOs, and there's a link to a YouTube video of one of our soda activations that we just did a month ago. A lot of good stuff in there and some links to other resources. But we're just honored to be here tonight. Now, you guys are also getting a sneak preview. Any of you going to the Huntsville Ham Fest in 3 weeks? Okay, 10 o'clock Saturday morning. Right now, we're scheduled to be in the Redstone Room, but it's on the Huntsville Ham Fest website. We're going to be giving a presentation, most of what we're going to talk about tonight. So you're actually getting a sneak preview. You're our test audience for this. So, and then Sunday morning, we're actually going to do a soda and POTA activation. There's a nearby, how many of you have ever been to Huntsville? Okay. Monte Sano State Park, it's a big ridge line that overlooks the city of Huntsville. That's both a soda and a POTA location. So Sunday morning, we're actually going to activate it with a few other folks. So if you're in Huntsville, you can just turn on your HT from your hotel and probably work us. We'll be on 2-meter simplex, but we'll also do some HF, and we'll be on the spotting networks. You guys can check that out. So just a few things, you know, we enjoy sharing the hobby with people. You'll see this better when you get a copy of the presentation, but we were really honored just a little over a year ago, a little bit of story about that magazine cover. So in 2019, one of the things we enjoy doing is fox hunting. And we make a pretty good team. We enjoy doing it together. I'm pretty good at doing the triangulation, get out the Yagi and get in the general direction. And what are you good at, Mary Catherine?
I'm a good guesser.
She has an uncanny ability to find the fox. I'll get us in the general area, and she just walks right up on it. So I'm not saying we're the best fox hunters in the world, but we hold our own. And we went over to a neighboring club, West Georgia Amateur Radio Society, WGARS, and not to be confused with GARS, Gwinnett County, but WGARS, West Georgia. And we won the fox hunt. And this picture was taken at the end of the fox hunt. And I'm holding a loop with an attenuator for close in. She's holding the tape measure Yagi we built. And Joe Moel, who writes the column for CQ Amateur Radio Magazine, he writes the column called Homing In. And any of you ever read CQ Amateur Radio Magazine? Yeah. Really, there's only two magazines left in the ham radio world. Your ARL, QST magazine, and this one, which is not affiliated with a club. He was Googling around for stories and found out about one of our fox hunts and contacted us and interviewed us. And we submitted some things and some pictures. And I thought, okay, we'll get a little blurb in the magazine. Well, this was February, right around November, I get an email from the magazine publisher. And, hey, I'm Rich and I own CQ Amateur Radio Magazine. Do you have a phone number? I'd like to call you. What was it? And he said, one of those pictures we think might make a good cover. Can we get your permission? Now, who's going to say no to that, right? And so, yeah, that's how we ended up on the February cover. And there is a story in that edition about the fox hunt and some fun things like that. And then once this happened, and we are not, I'm not afraid of a microphone. I'm very active in the business community. Mary Catherine's a former fitness instructor, but I don't go seek the spotlight either. Well, as soon as this happened, Bob Heil contacts me and said, hey, I think we got a story. Will you be on my video cast? You don't say no to Dr. Heil. So we were on his video cast, Ham Nation, which I think still is one of the largest, most viewed ham radio weekly shows. And we agreed, we turned it right around and said, we'll be on your show, Bob, will you speak to our club? So he actually spoke to our club, which was cool. And then word got out, and I think he spoke to Atlanta Radio Club and Gwinnett and North Fulton and some others. He'd probably speak for you guys too. Something I didn't know about Dr. Bob, he plays the organ. He played on our meeting. He went in the back of his studio and just, it was fun. Well, then after that happened, I was invited to be the token man on this, another video cast, Women in Ham Radio. And we were there with Kat, who lives over in Alabama, and Rhea, who was actually an ARL director for the New Jersey section. And then most recently, a week ago, Charlie has a YouTube series about soda activations, and he did a special on ham radio couples. So we were interviewed on there. So fun stuff. And none of these were technical. I mean, they were all just kind of sharing the hobby. So that's what we want to do tonight is share the hobby with all of you. Now, not only is this hobby fun, sharing it with your loved ones, but we think ham radio is best when it's outside. And hopefully by the end of tonight, if you have never operated outside, you will consider operating outside. These are just some pictures. So tonight's agenda, I'm going to go through the tips and hints fairly quickly. Now, we've been licensed, I think next year will be our 20th anniversary. I got licensed at the beginning of the year. She got licensed at the end of the year. We were at the kind of the front end of the KI4 series. I did go through, and I was at the tail end of, my CW is very rusty, but I did have to pass a code test. And I kind of did technician general extra, boom, boom, boom. Just somebody smart said, just go ahead and knock them all out. Mary Catherine is a technician, although I actually think she's got a music background, probably do better at code than I did. But I've always looked at the licenses as really just a license to learn. I mean, the test questions are public and you can memorize them. And so, you know, after being in this hobby for 20 years, I learn something all the time. And I think it's important to have a student's mind when it comes to amateur radio, and not be hung up on how long you've been doing it or what mode's better. It's all fun. Just find what you enjoy and focus in on it. So we'll do that. But what I really want to talk about, as if we were sitting around a campfire or a dinner and getting to know each other, is some of the things that we've done together to convince you that yes, you can talk to a flying lunchbox that's moving 17,000 miles per hour with an HT. That's ham radio satellites. Or that you can go to a park and talk to people all around the world, you know, POTA. Or that you can do a 5-mile hike to the top of a mountain and talk to somebody 150 miles away on 2 meters. I have recordings of all these things. And later when you get the presentation, you can click on them and, oh, that's kind of cool. Or sitting on my front porch, you can have, during this COVID stuff, which sounds like we're going into round 2, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. I did a lot of front yard activations. We've got a nice big wooded lot and a front porch. I'd sit on the front porch and, you know, be front porch on the air. And 6 meters when there's an opening. I've got a recording in here where I talk to Canada. How many of you know what a Yaesu FT 817, 818 looks like? It's one of the, you know, QRP rigs. I brought my 705. I still own the 817. I love that radio, but you know, this is the new one. 6 meters. Is that, no, not the door prize.
No,
Not the door prize.
that was Joe's birthday present, Christmas present, Father's Day present.
For the next 5 years. Yeah. So we talked to Canada, 6 meters, sideband, 5 watts with the 6 meter rubber duct that came with the 817. I mean, ham radio is magic. Yeah, there's a lot of science to it, but I think that's one of the things that appeals to all of us. I don't think we're unique in that. I think all of you, there's a certain magic to this. So we have all these different, I call them deployment scenarios. I need to probably change the verbiage of that because I presented a version of this as emergency communication. The fact that you're not always going to be in the trailer. You're not always going to be able to lug your hard cases out. That some of it is actually, hey, Georgia death race. Have any ever worked that? Yeah, we have too. We had aid station 9.5, which there was aid station 9, which you could drive up to, but then they needed radios at a checkpoint 2 miles away. And we volunteered for that duty. So the radio went in the backpack and we hiked to our duty position and had communication. So we were like a remote outpost. So quick story. How y'all doing on the live stream? Y'all doing okay out there?
Yeah, we're great.
Okay, good deal. And Bob's going to take good care of you there. So if when it comes time for questions, I'll get him to help moderate. So here's how not to operate portable ham radio. So this was 2004. And this is a much younger version of myself, and that's a much younger version of our section manager, David Benoist, KI4HHI. And we were going to operate sweepstakes at Pine Mountain. And we backpacked and we hiked. Well, I had my 897 and I was a much younger man. I carried a deep cycle marine battery in a backpack. I think my back is still out of whack from that. And, you know, thank goodness for LifePo batteries now, right? which I have one in the bag. I'll pull that out and we'll pass it around, or I'll set it up here. I guess we've got COVID again. Maybe we don't pass stuff around. So that's a picture of the battery. So there's the proof. I lugged that bad boy 5 miles into the woods, and you know, there's got to be a better way. So that's how not to do portable ham radio. So and again, there is no clear-cut textbook definition between the two of these. Mobile and portable, for sake of this presentation, I'm going to define mobile as operating from a vehicle. Whether you're in the vehicle, you're next to the vehicle, you got your gear on the vehicle. And that's okay for POTA. If you do SOTA, Summits on the Air, your equipment can't be anywhere near the car. Even if it's a drive up, you've got to be away from the car to do it. We're going to focus mostly on portable tonight. Now that's a picture of Mary Catherine at the picnic area at Dowdle's Knob at FDR Park. And that's a drive up, one of the few drive up SOTA peaks. It's also a POTA. But we had to set up on the picnic table away from the car. So just a quick difference between the two for this presentation. Here's some of the reasons I like operating outside, and I'll let Mary Catherine share as well. Less interference from electrical noise. How many of you have operated outside away from power sources? Maybe you're battery operated. It's better than the best filter. I mean, really, you can hear everything. You go home and it's like, doggone it, that wall wart, that computer, my monitor, you know, you got so much RF, so much interference going on that, you know, it's fun just to go outside and you can just hear better. It's kind of like if you're into stargaze,
Go downstairs and do this.
getting away from, go ahead and mute if you're on the live stream. You go out in the woods or go out west. We recently went out west and you can see the whole night sky, but you get in the city, you can't see anything. What are some of the things you like when we go operating outside? Is it over yet? No.
I just like to be on the move. I don't like to sit and listen to the radio for hours on end. And the idea of sitting in a room surrounded by radios on all the time just is not appealing to me. So being outside and making some contacts, moving to another location, making more contacts, that's much more appealing to me. But I probably don't like to sit still. I'm sure it's a me thing.
And I think we have that in common, and I'll, you know, this is true and has some humor in it. When we go do a SOTA activation, and of all the outdoor activities, that's one of our favorites, is SOTA, more than POTA, because we like to hike. Ladies and gentlemen, I have learned to be very efficient. So this goes into, you know, we talk about this during the Married Hams YouTube presentation. I could go operate by myself and sit up on the mountaintop all day if I wanted to. Mary Catherine, I would rather go with her. Guys, don't you enjoy activities better with your loved ones and ladies in the room? Yeah. It's all about what? Compromise. Yes, honey, I will go do that SOTA hike with you, but you have 1 hour on that mountain. So guys, I have learned which antennas go up fast, how to get on the air quick, how to pack efficiently, get up there, make the required 4 contacts, and pack the thing down.
I'll even help him set up and pull it all back together.
Yeah. So it's a teamwork approach. And you know what? We get more enjoyment out of that than, okay. Now, I do a lot more ham radio than she does. I mean, I will sit in a room of radios and work it, but I prefer to be outside, and even better to do it together. So a lot of times, and it's hard to fit it all in around other family activities. You know, some of the other things, you know, the physical exercise, the thrill of taking the shack with you, it is practicing emergency communications. I mean, in a big way. Can you operate off the grid? And, I think as amateur radio operators, we have to be prepared to do that. You're not always going to be able to plug into the socket or get an internet connection. What are you going to do when you don't get an internet connection? Or here, I mean, we had to improvise a little bit tonight, so I appreciate y'all bearing with us. ARL Field Day is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, operating activity around the country. When you operate outside, it's field day every day. Seriously, think of it that way. I won't go into a whole lot of detail on this. This is kind of a nod toward emergency communications. We enjoy, that's actually a picture. We didn't do it this year, but in years prior, pre-COVID, we're runners. We run in the Peachtree Road Race, and we are mobile ham radio operators. I run with a ham radio, and that's my kit right there. And we have a special credential so that we can take bags into the checkpoint and all that other stuff. And we're eyes and ears for the Aries teams that are there deployed. It's fun. So you can kind of combine things. Ability to deploy in austere conditions. Going outside, there's always a good chance of inclement weather. And it trains you to be flexible, adaptable. Anybody else a military veteran besides myself? Yeah, okay. It's probably no surprise to you that I was Army infantry. I'm still an infantryman at heart, okay? Pack it up in the bag and let's go. And, and I think that some of that mental toughness, and I know it doesn't mean you have to be tough all the time, but I think it adds an element to this so that, again, practice safety. If it's lightning, okay, we're going to take stuff down. Planning your portable mission, some of this is self-evident. Location, the route, the weather, supplies, operating gear. Now, again, when you're planning your mission, you have to be cognizant of who you're with. So our middle daughter just moved to Utah, and I'm going to show you some stuff. We did some activations out there. Which peaks did I want to activate?
You wanted to activate all the 10-point peaks.
Yeah. So in Soda, that's the tallest and the highest. And there was actually a mountain out, even though it was 100 degrees in the desert in Utah, there were still some snow-covered peaks. And I'm like, I'd pull out the Soda Finder app. Oh, we're going up to Mount Nebo. No, we're not. But instead, we'll do Iron Mountain, which ended up being a lot of fun. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Getting to your portable operating location. Now, I understand for those of you in the audience and those of you on the live stream that not everybody runs marathons and can walk far distances. And so you have to be cognizant of what your physical capabilities are. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to present yourself as a hazard to other people, and you don't want to get in a predicament. Always go with somebody else. And I have my soda buddy right here. But it gives you a goal too, to get off the couch, get outside, even if it's just to go to a park, move from the car to the picnic table. But you've got to be cognizant of that and some little details. We won't spend a lot of time on this. How many of you have ever gone to a park and not paid attention to when it's opened and you pull up and the gate's locked? Yeah. That's happened too many times to doggone it. Or you did check and it said the gate opened at sunrise, but the automatic timer or alert or whatever didn't go off, and there you are for an hour. So that actually happened a couple months ago. A friend of mine and I went to go activate and got there a little early and met with the park janitorial staff. They were unlocking the gate to clean the bathrooms. He let us in a little early. That was good. So just be aware of things when you plan your outdoor activities. Radios and power. I did bring, and those of you on the live stream, I won't be able to show this to you, but you can look at the pretty picture there. For those of you here in person, this is the IC705 backpack. And the 705 fits snugly. It's got a safety strap there. I can operate the radio in the bag. It's got a side mount for a PL250. You can put an antenna right there. Down below, and again, after the presentation, I'll just, if you want to come up and look at it, there's a storage compartment down here, and I've got a log, I've got some antenna tuner, I've got some homemade antennas, and I've got a LiPo battery in there. This thing, weighs about 7 pounds, and I can take it on a soda activation and operate out of the bag. I've also got a tripod for it, so I can take it out of the bag and operate. Really love the radio. The 817 is even smaller. And I can fit that actually in one of my running hydration vests. And so when we go places, this is my go bag.
So that's not the door price?
No,
It's not the door price. No.
you're gonna have to talk to your club president about that.
Yes, that's right. That's the job of the president.
Yes, that's the door price. How many amp hours?
The battery that I have, well, first of all, the 705 uses an HT battery pack.
That's right.
And you can get an extended one, which is nice because it's interchangeable. You can charge it, and I want to make this a 705, pitch. Lot of YouTube videos about the 705. We were one of the first to get one, and we've had it. Well, it's August. We've had it almost a year now, and it's a great radio. It's actually got more features than my 7300, which is our base rig. The only thing it doesn't have is 100 watts of power. I don't miss it. You can do a lot with 10 watts. 10 watts if you're hooked up to an external battery. 5 watts if you use the battery pack. I have a 4 amp hour LiPo. Doesn't even weigh a pound. I can power that 705 all day off of it. Those LiPo batteries are quite amazing. Some of the antennas, and if we weren't back in somewhat of a COVID sort of thing, I'd pull all these antennas out. My favorite, I'm a wire antenna fan, okay? I think loops are great for receive. There's just not a lot going on for transmit. And I have a loop, and I've done some pretty good contacts with it. Digital mode, it's fine, but in CW, voice, maybe not as effective. It just helps to radiate with a bigger antenna. Verticals, again, I have friends that love Wolf River coils and all kinds of, chameleon antennas. What did I say about my time living on the mountain? How long does Mary Catherine give me?
He does not have time to deploy a fancy antenna.
Yeah, I got an hour. So that in-fed half wave, I've got what's called a trail friendly. It's just a QRP. It's 10 meters, 20 meters, and 40 meters. I can take it, and I'll show you here in a minute, and just literally throw it in the trees and be on the air and work just fine. I don't have to spend my allotted hour fussing with an antenna. And then it just couldn't get easier to coil it up. Now that's operating portable. I know some people that use in-fed half waves at home. I have a G5RV dipole. I've got 2 of them up. One's kind of north-south, one's kind of east-west. Does me fine. I know beams are better. I don't take beams in the field that much except satellite work. I do have a 2-meter 440 beam. Some other things about operating outside, I think it's helpful as a ham radio operator. The ham bands, although we have a lot of privileges, don't we? We have a lot of privileges, a lot of bands we can operate. There's no other service out there that has the privileges we do. And it's incredible and it's fun because when one band's bad, you go to another band, right? But there is a lot more out there than just amateur radio. And I would encourage all of you that are on the live stream, and those of you in the audience, get familiar with the other radio services, especially when you're in the field. You can hear all kinds of things. So if you're at the park, what I try to do, I try to put the park frequencies in my HT. Yeah, you can listen to what's going on in the park rangers. Some of you may have done had Mars mods done to your radios. And again, I'm not here to enforce FCC policy, but you know, that's good. It may open up some things. Useful non-amateur bands. So, and then knowing ahead of time what's likely to be open and not, so you can bring the appropriate antennas. As we used to say in the Army, you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. You don't want to bring the wrong antenna. Now, I bring an antenna tuner. Some people are, now why would you think that I would bring an antenna tuner on a portable operation? And just, you never know. If I have to tune up a chain link fence, I'm going to tell you what, again, I'm not an ICOM salesman. The 705 tuner, I haven't seen anything it won't tune. A friend of mine tuned up a picnic table, a wire mesh picnic table. Now, I'm not sure that you're going to transmit very far, but you sure can't hear a lot. And so, you know, just because you have a low SWR doesn't mean you have an efficient antenna. Again, we're not going to talk antenna theory here, but yeah, you just never know. So I think everybody's Go Kit should have an antenna tuner. Now, that InFed is a resonant antenna on 1020/40. I don't need a tuner. I prefer not to, but to have it, you just add some flexibility. Okay, so let's talk now about some of the adventures we had. So Mary Catherine, I think this was one of our first SOTA activations. That's Blood Mountain. And there she is on the HT up there making contacts. And this is the equipment we brought. And you'll see the picture better when I share the presentation. Those of you that are tuned into the stream can probably see it better. Always bring an HT. Now, one of the things when you operate outdoors, and this was SOTA, it's making contacts. How many of you have ever done a SOTA activation before? Not POTA, we'll get to POTA in a minute. Anybody done a SOTA activation? Okay, so let me tell you about SOTA real quick. SOTA is the older program of the two. SOTA has been around longer than POTA. POTA is more popular right now. The whole intent of SOTA is to get you outside moving. Now, North Georgia is full of SOTA peaks. In Atlanta, there are some easy peaks to get. Kennesaw Mountain is a SOTA peak. Stone Mountain is a SOTA peak. Now you got to walk to the top, or in the case of Stone Mountain, ride the little sky lift.
Nobody knows how you got there.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. There's no rules how you get there. It's encouraged to move by foot. But there's a drive up one too, Pine Mountain. Now it's not close to here, but in Atlanta, it's not that far. And there's some other peaks in North Georgia that are not hard to get to. But once you're there, you got to let the world know you're there. So one of the things that I do, a little SOTA trick, number one, get on whatever repeaters nearby and let the world know, hey, I'm up on Stone Mountain and I'm going to do a SOTA activation. Y'all meet me over on Simplex. I normally try to make the required 4 activations on FM Simplex. It is so easy to do here. It was easy to do in Utah. We activated because you got such great range. And we activated, and this is on our QSL card, Quandary Peak in Colorado, and that's been my FM record. Not with sporadic E or anything, but line of sight, 150 miles. Now, when you're at 14,000 feet, gasping for air, you've got good line of sight. But that was a whole lot of fun. So we try to make the required 4 contacts on Simplex, and then I fire up HF, and I brought the 817. So there's some pictures of us doing this. This was one of our first. The other thing I do, how many of you work APRS? APRS is really experiencing a second growth spurt. It was very popular in the early 2000s. And then what happened to APRS? Those who have been doing it a while, what happened to APRS? Yeah, you know, all of a sudden we have cell phones and now you can do find my friends and where's my phone and all this other stuff. Well, some smart people figured out, okay, well, they'll just gate APRS out onto the internet. Now everybody's back in it again. So, and I've got this on our QRZ page. I beacon APRS, both RF, my call sign KI4ASK-7, and also KI4ASK-10, internet. You can pull up and where are they at? Now that came in handy, and I'll tell you that story in a minute when we talk about Iron Mountain. So tell people, hey, I'm going to do a SOTA activation, track us on APRS. People, oh, they're at the top now. Because a lot of times, POTA, you can say, hey, I'm going to be on the air at 9 in the morning. I'm going to be on the air at 1200 UTC, or 1300 UTC. SOTA, there's a little bit of unknown. How long is it going to take you to get to the top of the mountain? Hey, just track us on APRS. Now, this one was a fun one that we did at the beginning of the year. How many of you have ever been to Black Rock Mountain in the northeastern corner of the state? Beautiful, isn't it? Now, that once you're up there on that high ground, right, if you remember the park, right after the little gift shop and the park office, there's a picnic table area there, and you're, you know, overlooking the town down below, okay? That's Rabun County up there. That's actually the high point. You can activate SOTA and POTA from there. That's pretty cool. That's a drive up. So had we come back from the gym or what? We heard on the radio that there was a chance of snow.
It was a Friday morning. We had gone to the gym and we heard there was snow coming. And so after work, we drove straight up there.
Yeah. Now, most people, snow, oh, milk bread. Joe and Mary Catherine, snow, let's go. So we did. We tossed the dog in the car, had the 705 ready to go, got up there, lucked into a cabin. The park ranger had mercy on us. That's a story for a different time. A dog-friendly cabin at that. Got snowed in, and these are some pictures. This was February this year. And beautiful sunset there. Had the HT, had the 705 signal stick. You can't see it here, but when you look at the presentation slides afterward, the trail friendly, the BioInno LifePo battery worked 2 meters, 20 meters, and 40 meters. And again, both a SOTA and a POTA up there on Black Rock Mountain. Had a blast that weekend. 6 inches of snow up there. And they plowed it and we drove home. It was a perfect storm, right? It came in, made everything nice and pretty. We went and hiked and did our SOTA and POTA, took a lot of pictures, made a lot of contacts, and then went home. Now on that one, it was cold. I was motivated to make the activation and then move on. Okay, this was one of our first POTA activations. And again, this counts as SOTA too, but we were focusing on POTA. I brought our Yaesu FT897, which is kind of the big brother of the 817. It's a full 100-watt radio. That was actually my home rig until we got the 7300. Love that radio. You get used to the menu system. How many of you use Yaesu rigs? Yeah. Brought the HT. This one, I brought the Deep Cycle Marine battery to power it. We did some VHF, 20 meters and 40 meters. And specifically, we were at Dowdle's Knob. There's a big statue of Franklin D. Roosevelt, President Roosevelt there. Some of you know he had a home there in Warm Springs, and that was where he liked to hang out, Dowdle's Knob. Beautiful view up there, a lot of fun. Okay, so this was cool, and you were there. This was field day a year ago. Georgia Oxcom, which it's a lot like Aries, but it focuses on state missions. we had a field day at Cloudland Canyon. GEMA pulled some strings with DNR and got us a private little camping area. And I activated a satellite that night. And ironically, one of the contacts was Daryl Young, who's president of North Fulton Amateur Radio League. He's actually past president now. He's big into satellites. So there I am, a couple hundred miles up in the air, back down, and I'm just talking to Roswell, Georgia from Cloudland Canyon. But here, let's see if we can make this work. I'm gonna play it for you. So these are, so I gotta stop the share. I'm gonna restart it, folks, on the live stream.
KI4ASK EM74, 1 Alpha, Georgia. This is KI4ASK EM74,
Let's see here.
1 Alpha, Georgia. And to DJ Victor 3 Charlie, 1 Delta, Golf Tango Alpha.
All right, so let me play it now. I think we've got it shared and volume is up. So here we go.
KI4ASK EM74, 1 Alpha, Georgia. This is KI4ASK EM74, 1 Alpha, Georgia. And to DJ Victor 3 Charlie,
There's a
1
Victor
Delta,
Echo, go to
Golf
Canada.
Tango Alpha. KI4ASK, 1 Alpha, Georgia. Hey, Daryl, you copy K4HHI? I got you, Joe. KI4SK, 1 Alpha, Georgia. I'm 2 Georgia. USL, hello, Cloudland Canyon State Park, 7-3.
Okay, so you can play that cue so, later when you get a copy of this presentation. So that was a lot of fun at field day to actually work a satellite. And that's portable operations, that a portable handheld. And I'm using an HT. So think about those satellites. Those satellites are about the size of a lunchbox. They're traveling 17,000 miles an hour. You got about 8 minutes as it's going overhead. That's a lot of fun, and it's a quick way to get a nice dose of ham radio and not spend all day on it. So we got extra bonus points for field day by working a satellite. It was that easy. And
I thought you worked the space station.
not that weekend, but I have worked the space station. Yeah.
You worked Tom.
Yeah. The space station right now, it alternates. There's 2 radios on board the International Space Station. There's one in the Russian module. We've got one in the American module, and it alternates between FM repeater mode and digipeater mode. Right now it's in digipeater mode. And it's the world's best digipeater. Because when you hit it with an APRS packet, boom, everybody in North America's now got it. And that's a whole lot of fun. Now, why do you think being able to work a satellite, besides being fun, might be helpful in emergency communications? Absolutely. I have a separate presentation, we're not going to go into it tonight, that we talk about amateur radio satellites. There was an amateur radio operator who went to Big Bend National Park in Texas. Any of you ever been there? Very remote. Yes. But believe it or not, there are some spots that are not covered by those repeaters in the deep desert. Okay. And those of you who have ever been, it's on the Rio Grande, it's in the bottom of Texas, it's in the middle of nowhere. You've got the Chisos Mountains that are sometimes snow covered, and you got desert down below, and then the Rio Grande. And that is an open border. Now the river's pretty rugged, and there's not much going on the Mexico side. But there's a ham radio operator that got caught in a flash flood. He was there, ironically, going to do an AMSAT activation. One of the things AMSAT people do is collect grid squares. And no cell phone, not in range of the repeater. He went ahead and worked the satellite. Emergency traffic. There's a recording of it. I'll send it to you guys. Somebody phone patched him a park ranger, and they knew where he was at, and they went and helped him out. So, world's best repeater, a satellite. So, when the zombie apocalypse happens and all the terrestrial repeaters go down, just point your point your antenna to the sky, work the satellites. So there actually is an MCOM. Now, you've got to be fast and efficient. That pass is only about 8 minutes long, but good stuff. Okay, so this year for field day, we had a lot of fun. We went back. We had so much fun last year. We went back, and I brought David Benoist, our section manager. His term's about to end, and I said, let's go out with a bang. So we went. Mary Catherine came. David brought his wife. We had a whole weekend of it. We did a POTA activation. We also did a SOTA activation because Cloudland Canyon is up on Lookout Mountain. And there's a certain high point. We had to hike. It's actually called High Point. That's a SOTA spot. And these are some pictures from it. And brought along the Yagi because we work satellites. Worked for the POTA in the field day, I brought the IC 7200 for 100 watts, but for the portable, we brought the 75. We were Grid Square EM 74. So let me play for you satellite contact I made. All right, live stream, bear with me. I've got to click a button and share it. So let's click here. So some of these will link to my Twitter page because I've shared the QSOs on Twitter. So we're operating off the phone here, so it's taking a bit. Okay, let me pause it. Now I got to reshare it. That's one bad thing about Zoom. When you change apps, you got to share and reshare. Okay. So that's a picture of me. Right outside the cabin, we're at Cloudland Canyon. That's what you can't really see it well here, but this was Lilac Sat 2, and here was the field day exchange.
BSC, I got you. QSL, happy field day to you. QSL, this is KI4ASK EM74, Cloudland Canyon State Park, POTA, K2169.
So that counted for field day and a POTA, which was a lot of fun to do that all at the same time. So let me share the presentation again. Okay, so I'm wearing the shirt from this. You want to tell them why we ended up in Utah?
It's a very sad story. One of my children moved out there.
Yeah, we
You
became
don't want
empty
the tears.
nesters.
We'll just say, we'll leave it at that. That's enough.
Yeah, we became empty nesters last year, and oldest daughter is fairly close by. Middle daughter moved out to Utah. There's a boy involved. We'll just leave it at that. But once she got all settled, hey, Mom and Dad, why don't you come out and see us? And they planned this awesome trip. And one of the places we went to is Arches National Park. Anybody ever been? Beautiful, beautiful. Guess what? That's a POTA location. And not only is it a Parks on the Air, but it's Park 0004. Pretty cool, huh? Now, how many of you have ever done a Parks on the Air activation? Not too many hands on SOTA. How many of you done POTA? Okay, so for those of you that haven't, the basic premise is this. It spun off from National Parks on the Air. That was the original. Hey, go in, I think it was 2017, 2016. ARL program, go to a national park and activate it and make contacts. That was so popular at the end of the year, it's like, we want to keep it going. And so just Parks on the Air was born. It is national parks and state parks. County parks don't count. There's lots of them. And you have to make at least 10 contacts, and somebody activates. That means somebody goes to that location. You can be anywhere in the park. It's less restrictive than SOTA. SOTA, you have to be at the top of the peak. There's an activation zone, but we won't get into the finer points of the rules. But POTA, I mean, you can drive up to a park, you go to Watson Mill, okay? Sit in your car and activate the park. People at home chase you. Now for both SOTA and POTA, the burden is on the activator to do the logging. You don't even have to submit a log for it. If you're in their log, you get points for it. And you can collect parks, states, activations, whatever. It's a lot of fun. So, of course, we're going out west. I immediately like, great, we'll do soda and POTA. So here we are at Arches. I'm literally sitting on the canyon floor, 10 watts, 20 meters, and I make a contact back home. And here's that QSO. Let me click the button. I'll share in just a minute live stream, folks. Let me get it queued up. Let me pause it. Turn on the audio. A lot of clicking here.
In Georgia, there's a lot of, almost every soda we do, we can throw that antenna in a tree and get some height to it. He didn't have that advantage in Utah, so most of the time the antenna was thrown out on the ground.
Yeah, you can't see it that well in this picture. Those of you on the live stream can kind of see, there's the antenna right there. And I'm up on a little rock pile, but it's just laying literally on the canyon floor. And any of you know Robert Burton, KI4HHI? He's kind of runs the Metro Atlanta Skywarn net. He also does the Southeastern Link repeater net. That's who I talk to.
That's who's the studio right now?
Yes, I was going to mention that. So hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. CQ POTA. This is Kilo India 4, Alpha Sierra Kilo, KI4ASK, calling CQ POTA from Arches National Park in Moab, Utah. We are Park Kilo 0004, calling CQ POTA and standing by.
Kilo Delta 4, Yankee Delta Charlie.
There's a familiar friend, KI4HHI from back home in Fayetteville. This is KI4ASK sitting on the canyon floor with KI4HHI operating QRP. You are booming in 5.9, Robert.
Hey, Joe, it's great to hear you, man. It's great to hear you. Yeah, we've got some inherent noise.
And the noise. CQ POTA. This is Kilo India 4. You didn't hear much noise on my end, did you? There's no power anywhere near where I'm sitting. That noise is back home at Robert's shack. And, you know, and it's harder, you know, most activations of POTA anyway tend to be higher power, but I really enjoy the thrill of QRP. So it can be done. That, I don't remember the mileage, 1,500 miles, I think, from Utah to Fayetteville, Georgia. That's not bad. Little 10 watts and a wire laying on the canyon floor and making a contact. So, I mean, this was fun. It didn't even take me an hour to make the activation. I that night, it was hot. It was hopping. Finally, the sun went down and it's like, okay, we need to go before the lizards and other desert creatures come get us away. So yeah, back to Robert, KI4HHI. He is at Tougaloo State Park this all week. And Robert is really good. He had quite the pile up of 40 meters last night. Did you work him? Yeah, I did too. And it's a lot of fun. I won't take all the credit, but we, you know, myself and a couple others really, he's a retired teacher, encouraged him. And it's fun to share because you never know. There's several other people that are now more experienced than I am. They saw us doing it and, oh, I got to get into that. And other people have gotten into it. And I really enjoy that part of this hobby. So that was just a month ago at Arches. And, you know, this one I won't play for you. I've got a link to a full YouTube video. I shot a YouTube. We're contemplating starting a YouTube channel called Married Hams. This is a concept video, but it is a live soda. We went to Iron Mountain. This was soda, not POTA. And you can hear all the fun and frustration of our trip in this video. And we activated, I got on the repeater network, told people what we're doing, got on Simplex, made the activation, Talk to another friend back home. And again, part of doing these, you need to market yourself. Get on the spot, get somebody to spot you. And I had a KD4CHW in Stockbridge work us. 10 watts on top of this Iron Mountain. But again, we used the wire antenna. There's a picture of me and Mary Catherine up there. We barely made it off the peak by sunset. Now, I told you we would revisit APRS, right? So where do you think APRS might come in handy when you lose cell phone service?
Yes.
Okay, so I told you we were out there at the invitation of our daughter. Daughter and boyfriend, down at the bottom of the mountain is Park City, Utah. It's a ski resort, okay? First time we'd ever been in school. All right, mom and dad, you go do your ham radio thing. We're gonna go play putt-putt in town. We'll pick you up, whatever. Now, first thing is, I had conflicting information on the maps. It took us much longer to get up there than I thought
It was
because,
a 6-mile hike, not a 3-mile hike.
yeah, they've sold half the mountain away to some fancy rich homes. And I talk about it in the video because we're boogieing up the mountain, then all of a sudden it makes us go this way. It's like, what? You know, we got up there and, okay, we were doing this at the end of the day and we almost ran out of sun. I mean, we literally came down off the mountain. Well, the other thing is, hey, Park City has great cell phone service. I have an older iPhone and it died. So I had our daughter track our descent using APRS. We still had digi coverage. I talk about it in the video. So she tracks us coming down to know when we were getting off the mountain. Thought you'd never get here, you know. But comes in handy. No cell phone. Now I'm totally dependent upon ham radio. So because APRS is gated onto the internet, you go to the website aprs.fi and you can share real time. You can embed a web link. Here, click here to follow us. And it was very handy. So that kind of came in handy. You know, some other things, and I won't get into this because I'm cognizant of the time and we still have a 2-hour drive home. Just sitting, and you can click on these and listen to them later. Just sitting in the woods or sitting away from noise sources and just listening. I've got some sound recordings here. This one was a long wave beacon, slow scan TV. The ISS, the International Space Station, periodically transmits slow scan TV images. You don't even need a Yagi. You can plop an HT down on the hood of your car, hold open an Android or an iOS app and decode. I do it all the time. It's fun. So I've got a recording of that. Listening to pirate radio at night, that's kind of fun. You know, it's the just below 7 megahertz. This was again, we won't go into politics here, but at the time, our president came to Atlanta, and we are fairly close to the airport, and I was able to listen in on air traffic regarding Air Force One. That was pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then just the ability, that's a picture. You know, how many of you have little SDRs, dongles or whatever? That's so much fun. And you know, you can hook that up to an Android phone and there's apps for that. That's portable listening posts. It's great. It's a lot of fun. That's also portable apps. Fox hunting. I told you we really enjoy fox hunting. We've got a link to a full presentation on that. The goal, I tell people it's like a scavenger hunt where you go look for a hidden radio transmitter. Now for that activity, you don't have to be licensed. You're just listening. So it's great for non-hams to get them interested in the hobby. Now on this page, and I won't play them for you, but when you get sent the presentation, I want to encourage you to listen to some of these. It'll make a believer at it. You can't talk to Canada on 5 watts. Click and you'll find out that you can. So these are all links to some recordings that I've made. This one was a satellite contact to Mexico. There's that 6-meter contact to VA3CD. And here's another 6-meter contact. So it's a lot of fun, portable operations. And that picture there, down in the lower right is my front porch portable. Okay, and wrapping up, and then we're going to take some questions. I've got some links to some resources that you might find handy if you're interested in portable. Again, we want you to have fun in the hobby. I said that we want you to just enjoy what you're doing here. The first one is a video and some slides that Mary Catherine made. It's a presentation. I'm proud of her. I have to brag on her. After raising 3 children, she went back and finished her college degree. And she had to give a presentation. And guess what she did her presentation on? Ham radio, yes. And so this she turned in for a grade, and you got an A. Yeah. This is a copy of the soda activation that we did at Iron Mountain. And we're huffing and puffing because we're at altitude, because, hey, we're from Georgia. You know, Iron Mountain's about 9,000 feet. So about, twice as tall as the tallest in North Georgia. Some information if you want to know the rules and how all this works for SOTA and POTA. This is a great book by a friend of mine, Stuart Thomas, KI4HHI. He's written the ARL handbook on portable radio ops. He's a frequent SOTA activator, very active on social media. It's a great book. Goes into more depth about equipment, antennas, and batteries and things like that. Presentation we did about fox hunting, another one about satellites. This is a good one from ARL. Those of you that have been hams for a while, that's kind of a beginner resource, just how to pick a radio and so forth. Link to Georgia Aries, Georgia Oxcom, just some good information here. These are permalinks. And then finally, and we'll take it, open for questions. I am going to pass out all of you a QSL card here in a minute as we take questions. But first of all, I just want to invite you, if you're going to come to Huntsville. Now, I've been told that they're going to record the sessions and put them on the website later. And it won't be the exact same thing that we did tonight, but it'll be similar. So if you were like, I wanted to ask this question, or I want to hear that information again, tell your friends about it. We really, especially the ones that are going to be there, we're hoping for a good crowd. But I just want to, there's my email address, very active on Twitter. Twitter actually has had quite a lot of ham radio stuff going on. Especially the satellite people and the SOTA people. We like to, hey, we're going to activate here and there, and word gets out, and sometimes post recordings and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. So what I'd like to do here, you can help me pass these out if you want to, is take any questions that you might have. And first, I think while Mary Catherine passes those out, let me ask Bob. Bob, do we have any questions from the live stream? Over.
I haven't seen anything in chat, but if anybody's got a question, put it in chat or ask it out loud. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Anybody here in the live audience have a question or a comment or something you'd like to share? Yes, sir.
When you talk about with a good tuner, you can hook it up to anything to make it work. I was just thinking, if you was somewhere where they had a barbed wire fence stretched out forever and a day,
Yes.
hook that up, you can have a huge antenna, like 100 acres long.
Yeah, in fact, if you go to YouTube, a couple things that you can search on YouTube. And YouTube has really become a go-to place for ham radio resources. There is an ongoing, it's not a contest, but a challenge. Just search on YouTube, will it tune? And it's kind of a challenge of, hey, can we tune this up? Now, probably the most interesting, and barbed wire fence is one of them. Now, the most interesting one, and I'll tell you a project we're working on. It was her idea. I'll let her tell you about the project we're going to work on. Somebody took a 100-watt light bulb and hooked it up to a radio and transmitted. Now, what do you think happened? Well, first of all, the light bulb lit up. Keyed up, boom, there's your 100 watts.
We used to use a dummy load when I was a kid.
A dummy load. And you know exactly what he found out was, once it tuned, he could actually hear people through that light bulb. Now, it didn't transmit worth a darn. You know, it just radiated his heat, but it tuned up. So I watched a YouTube video where somebody tuned up a Slinky, and it's well known that there are Slinky antennas. So tell them what we're going to put together.
Well, we're putting those two ideas together. We're going to do a Slinky dog. He's going to have a light up nose.
Yeah. So we found on the internet, again, most Slinkies now are plastic. What's that all about? You have to really look hard to find a metal Slinky. We found, how many of you seen the Toy Story movie? Yeah. So that inspired the re-release of the Slinky dog. And I acquired one. So we're going to take that and get a little LED to put on his nose, and we'll probably make a YouTube out of it. And we're going to tune up a Slinky dog with a light up nose, just for the fun of it. It's fun. Other questions, comments?
Looking at your call, I saw ASK. Did you ask, is that intentional or is that just a random?
No, he just got lucky.
I just got lucky with it. And you know, so that's what the FCC gave me in whatever it was, 2002. That was my technician call. And I just, that's kind of unique. I kept it for the upgrades. You know, again, when you upgrade, you can go to this call or that call. And I had opportunity to get a nice vanity call. And I kept it. And I kind of like it because I like sharing things with people. And now, it's not always, it's not hard to do in CW, but in phone, the Alpha Sierra Kilo gets mangled up really bad. So like a lot of people, I have to use non-standard phonetics. And I'm just going to tell you, I think it's fine, okay? Hey, in the military, we had to use the NATO. And I start off with that. But if I'm not busting through a pile up, I will be America Sugar King or, you know, Alpha Superman Kilowatt, whatever I need, right? And, you know, Mary Catherine with KI4HHI, we kind of like that. That's a lot of dits on the CW, back half of it, you know. So that one's hard. You really have to have an ear for CW to pick out the H's and the I's there. But yeah, those are original calls. Yeah. Anybody else? Questions? So Mary Catherine passed out our QSL card, and we wanted you to have a card for a couple reasons. First of all, our contact information is on there. If you have questions or comments, email me. Secondly, it's my hope that whether you're activating or we're activating and you're chasing us, SOTA or POTA, once we make the contact, you fill out that card and you have our QSL card. It'll save me a postage stamp. So you have our card because now you have to work us.
Well, now you just sound cheap.
No,
Well, we need two. One for you, one for
well, you've got to, we did that one. We had that made up, a caricature. It's a ham radio artist. His call sign's actually at the bottom of that. Being the romantic I am, I had that made for our anniversary 2 years ago. How about that? And not every couple has a ham radio couples QSL card. So no, we're really big into collecting QSL cards, and I'm typically the one who, I went this morning.
He needs me.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to the post office this morning. I'm the type that once we've made contact, I'm going to send a card with a self-addressed stamp envelope. I think it's good to get people into that aspect of the hobby. And I'm in Logbook of the World and QRZ, but I enjoy the paper. But what's funny is I enjoy the QSL cards. The operating awards don't do a thing for me. I'm not a paper chaser. I know some people that really enjoy that. And that's back to what I was saying, make it your own hobby, have fun with it, with whatever you like to do. FT8, how many of you done FT8? How many of you like FT8? Okay. Hey, it's a good mode and it gets through, man. It really does. And I work it occasionally, but I enjoy talking. And I do WinLink and, other things like that. Bob, anybody else online have any questions? Anybody pop up in chat?
Not so far.
Okay,
Take it
well,
up.
we're gonna wrap things up here at the live meeting. For those of you that are in the on the live stream, Bob posted a copy of a permalink to the slides, so that you can read this presentation, and then Bob's going to put it on the club email reflector, I think. So those of you that are here in person will be able to see that. And since there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here.